Today, let me show the demo of Omniscripts Studio. So before that, let's give in what we are planning to do in the development side. So let's create one data raptor. So what we are planning to do, we are going to have one data raptor. Oops. Okay. So we are going to have one data raptor. This data raptor is going to be a post data raptor. Okay. Then so it's going to what we are going to do is we are going to collect the data. The idea is to create a contact record. Okay, to create a contact record, create contact. Okay, so for that, anything you want to insert the data into the Salesforce in Velocity, you have to use the data raptor. So for that, and then we are going to create first name, last name, a minimum fields, and then the email. Okay, three fields we are going to create, and then from there take this and then use the data raptor, the one which you had created here, use the data raptor to insert the data into the Salesforce database. So into the Salesforce system, or you can call it as database. Yeah, let's say that one. So let's go to the to Salesforce. So here, I think maybe you can always use the app launcher and then try Omni Scripts. Click on this Omni Scripts designer. So click new. Training, create contract. I think I already named something. Training, create contact. For now, let's uncheck this one. So we don't want to use the LWC now. Once you come to this page, so these are some of the functions that are available, the components that are available. So when the components that are available here, you can see these inputs. We have a checkbox, currency, and then the date, time. So for now, what we need is we need the text field, right? So these are the some of these input fields. If you really look into these actions, what are the, you can see here the data raptor. So here, what is the idea is we have to use the data raptor post action to insert the data into the Salesforce. So the same way, and then there are some groups also there. So the groups is nothing but suppose you want to add an additional step. Okay, so you can add additional step here. So you can, so if you go to the preview, so this, each step is going to be the by it follows when next if you go, then you can see this box is checked, and then it's done with the you can see that little tick mark there. So let's go back to properties. Okay, we don't need that now, we do it in one step. So let me remove this step too. So as I stated earlier, so let's go to this input fields and then pick up the text box, right? Text box, that's what we need. So let's pick up the text here, and then so use the element name. What's the element name you want to give? Let me give you just first name, and then field label. So you can give the field label as first name. Okay, let's name this step. Create a contact. You can mention the same thing here. Create a contact. So if you really check preview, then you can see that it's going to come as create contacts. This is nothing but the step here, and then this is the first name is the label name you give. So now let's take one more text box, add it in the step within the step. So this one we are going to give as last name. Then the same thing you can do it here. Last name is the label name. Then we want to add the email, right? So let's take the email field. You have the email field also, so you can take the email, then put the email, the label as email. So this is, if you look into that, you can see that's all this, the in the form you can see, which you can fill out all the details, whatever you need, right? Now go back to this properties. So what you need is the now we need the action. So what action you are going to perform? So once you collect this information, so you need to post the data to the Salesforce. So that for that we have to use the data wrapper post action. So click the data wrapper post action. So this one is you can specify as dr create contact. This element name, this label name you can use as. It doesn't matter actually, it's not going to be visible anyway. So you can give the name you want. So now here you can create the new data wrapper. So let's see how we can create this new data wrapper. You can create, if you go all the way in, you should be able to see the plus sign with create new data wrapper. Let's create a new data wrapper here. Let's specify training new create contact. Okay, data wrapper. So let's click OK. Create contact. Okay, let's see what it says. This name is already in use, so let's training create contact. Click OK. So then it will take you to the create data wrapper, the new data wrapper page. So here the one which we are planning to create is nothing but the contact, right? So select the contact object. This is nothing but the objects that are visible here are the Salesforce object. So select the contact object. So if you go to the fields, now then the next step is you have to do the mapping. The good part when you try to do it from the Omniscripts and the create new, then it's automatically going to bring all the input JSON parameters directly into the new data wrapper. Otherwise, you have to find a way to get these details. Okay, so otherwise there is a this is the data wrapper we did. So you have to take the view full data JSON, and then you can take it, copy this. You have to copy this and then view full data JSON, copy to clipboard, and then go back to the data wrapper and copy it here. The reason that we have to do is I'm going to show you this one. So we have input JSON. So input JSON is nothing but and the output JSON. So this is output JSON is one thing we did not do is input type is JSON and output type is JSON we did. So which is not a right thing to do. So we have to output type is S object. Okay, so select the output type S object, click, we have to use the load and then click save. So now is the correct one. So input type should be JSON and then output type should be the S objects, that is the Salesforce object. So once you do that, whenever you click on this plus sign, little plus sign, you will see these values, whatever you see in the right hand side is going to show up in here. So you are going to, what you are going to select is the one which is create first name, right? Create contact first name. And then what is the domain object name? So my domain object name is the nothing but which is the, so I think we select the wrong object, so that's why it is doing this one. So let's delete this part. So add object and select the contact object. Okay, make sure you select the right contact or right object. So now if you go to the fields and then click on the plus little sign, so you see the create first contact, whatever is visible here. So okay, so select that for contact first name, and then the domain field is the first name, so it will show up here. Okay, so because we selected the contact objects, that's a domain field is the first name. Now go back here and then add the one more field, there is a last name, select the last name and then select the last name. So here is the last name, select the last name, and then the next one is the email. So select email and the domain field is going to be the email. So you all have mapped from the input JSON. Okay, that was input JSON is nothing but that is coming from the suppose if you go to the preview, so this is nothing but is all coming in the JSON. Suppose if you put in the data if you click on the little data icon here, data link here, you will see this one. Oh, this is what the JSON is generating. This Omniscript is generating this JSON, so which will be used as an input by the data wrapper. Okay, this data wrapper. That's why we copied from the Omniscript data and then we copied it to the data wrapper, so that way we can select map these fields easily. Once we do that, okay, so suppose you can see this one. Suppose if I type test, you can see that the test is automatically getting it generated here. So anyway, now here let's go back to this data wrapper, and then you can always do testing if you want. Okay, so here is the test. Suppose if I want to do, so let's put test one, and then enter the email address. Okay, and then use the sorry, first name, whatever. So now if you execute, okay, so it should create a contact record. Okay, so if you click on this one, so you can see that contact record is getting generated. Okay, so if you go to the details, so first name is here, you can see this first name and the last name getting generated. So same way, suppose if you go to this now let me go back. Now my data wrapper is ready. Okay, so now I have to go back to this Omniscript. Well, let me go back to the little Omniscript. Now the data wrapper is ready, which is associated to then now I have to select the data wrapper whatever I created, right? So training, okay, new create contact. So this should map to the whatever I created here, new create contact. Okay, so then now if I go and do the preview, and also I can basically I'm going to run this as well. Okay, so if I go and I will click on this data so to observe what's happening. So I'm going to put test, okay, rk2, and then email at cloud.com. So now if I say next, right, you see this one. If I am going to click next, so you can see that it's interacting with the data wrapper and creating a contact record. I see this, this has created because it generated the automatically generated the ID, contact ID. So let me copy this contact ID and let's see whether it is created or not. Let's go back to here, or you can let me open the new tab. I think it's opening the new console. Okay, so this is where it created the, let's type in and see, K2, right? This is the one it created, right? So it created this one. So if I look into this one, oh, you can see this, this is getting ID getting created. I can type in here to plug that particular contact record, nothing but the same, arc in the corner too. So this is the how we are going to use the Omniscripts to create create that one. So let's speak, if we can make this, suppose if I go to this properties, I can make it required field. Suppose if I can get a required field and go to preview, okay, you can see that little red mark, red tick, asterisk. So you can see that that is required. Suppose if I try to say test and then I put like cloud.com and then click next. Okay, it's going to get a by default error message which says you please fix all the fields with error. So only I will give the name as okay 3, then only it's going to allow. Okay, let's know in the next session. Let's talk more about these data raptors and also more about the Omniscripts properties. We have different actions. We can talk about different things in the next video. Thank you.